Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani, who are considered to be the most popular odd couple turned power combo in the music industry, have a love story that is both amusing and heartwarming in equal measure. Fans have been captivated by their chemistry, which has been demonstrated by their swoon-worthy duets as well as their meet-cute on The Voice. On the other hand, there is one location where you will not find this couple: the beach. How come? A story that involves a rogue seagull, a cowboy hat, and Gwen's famed eyeliner is about to be told, and you should fasten your seatbelts because it is about to be as ludicrous as it is funny. Gwen was taken aback when Blake, a country singer who was born in Oklahoma, made the decision to surprise her with a romantic beach vacation. This was the beginning of everything. Blake was a stranger on the coast, but Gwen, the California girl with a punk rock edge, was not unfamiliar with California. Instead of sand between his toes, let's just say that his idea of a good time typically involves a fishing pole or a tractor. On the other hand, he was determined to make a good impression on his lady, so he reserved a luxurious beachfront property, packed his pair of flip-flops that had seen the least amount of use, and persuaded Gwen to abandon her characteristic stilettos for a weekend of sunbathing, surfing, and possibly even a little bit of smooching under the palm trees. The moment they arrived at the beach was the first indication that something was wrong. Despite Gwen's modest advice that it might not be the finest beach accessory, Blake, ever the cowboy, insisted on wearing his iconic Stetson hat. Blake believed that it was the best accessory for the beach. With a smirk on his face, he drooled, "Babe, it's my look." And then he flipped the hat. Despite the fact that she was wearing a stylish bikini and large sunglasses, Gwen simply shrugged. By this point, she had become accustomed to Blake's peculiarities, and to tell you the truth, the hat was quite cute. They made their way to the beach and set up camp there, complete with a cooler stocked with Gwen's kombucha and Blake's preferred beer, because of course, they are that couple. Prior to the event involving the seagull, everything was going swimmingly. These seagulls are infamous for being bullies on the beach, but this particular one was on an entirely different level. Imagine that a bird with the brazenness of a reality TV villain is glancing at their picnic as if it were a five-star feast. With the intention of becoming the hero, Blake got to his feet and said, "Git, you winged rat," while waving his arms and attempting to drive it away. It was a terrible error. Blake's treasured Stetson was ripped straight off his head by the seagull, which took issue at his country charm and dive-bombed him. The seagull was undeterred by Blake's country charm. The sight of Blake chasing the bird down the beach with his flip-flops flapping in a hilarious manner against the sand caused Gwen to burst out upon laughter. With a smug squawk, the seagull, who was obviously enjoying the turmoil, flew just low enough to taunt him by dropping the hat into a pile of seaweed before soaring away with a smug squawk. At the time that Blake was able to collect his hat, it was drenched in water, covered in green goop, and reeked of the scent of low tide. Although Gwen continued to laugh, she made an effort to comfort him, but Blake was already making plans to exact revenge on the entire population of seagulls. It is possible that they would have laughed it off and continued with their day at the beach if that had been the end of it. But destiny had other things in store for us. As soon as they were back on their blanket, Gwen made the decision that it was time for them to have a swim in the water. As someone who is an expert at beach life, she walked into the surf with the self-assurance that would be seen in a music video for no doubt. The enthusiasm of Blake, on the other hand, was lower. He said, "I don't trust water because I can't see through it," as he looked at the ocean as if it were intended to be a personal insult. But the pout that Gwen was wearing was too much for him to bear, and he followed her in while muttering and without a hat. When things reached this point, they went from bad to worse. Gwen, being Gwen, had spent a good 45 minutes that morning perfecting her beach makeup. This is because Gwen Stefani does not mess around with her appearance, even when she is at the beach. Both her crimson lipstick and her winged eyeliner were immaculate. Her winged eyeliner was so sharp that it could cut glass. The ocean, on the other hand, is not concerned with beauty procedures. A rogue wave struck them just as they were entering the water, causing Gwen to get drenched from head to toe. Blake got a single look at her and immediately became frozen in place when she emerged, and her lipstick had become a pinkish smudge that was spread across her cheek. Gwen, who was completely unaware of her cosmetics meltdown, splashed him in a light-hearted manner, but Blake never stopped staring at her. He tried not to giggle as he addressed the woman, saying, "Babe, you look like you just tried out for a role in a horror movie." When Gwen realized what had happened, she screamed so loudly that it could have been heard in Nashville. She went to the nearest reflective surface, which was a shiny thermos that was already in their beach bag. She sobbed, "My eyeliner," as she hurriedly attempted to remove it, only to make the situation even more uncomfortable. Blake, who is known for being a supportive partner, offered her a towel and quipped, "You're still hotter than a summer in Oklahoma." However, Gwen was almost halfway to the car and vowed that she would never again allow the ocean to ruin her vibe. It would be reasonable to assume that they would give up at this point, but Blake, who was determined to salvage the day, proposed that they try one more beach activity, which was to construct a sandcastle. Now that she had removed her makeup and was feeling a little shaken up, Gwen agreed, thinking that it was a safe bet. An amazing sandcastle, complete with turrets and a moat, was completed by them after they spent an hour working on it. In addition, Blake used a stick to carve the letters B+G into the side of the object, which caused Gwen to feel a little bit of warmth. At one point, it appeared as though the day spent at the beach had been saved. Then the children arrived. Like a pack of little wrecking balls, a group of unruly children plummeted from the sky, equipped with plastic shovels, and showing no regard for the sandcastles the celebrities had constructed. They were able to convert their artwork to a forlorn lump of sand in a matter of seconds. One of the children, who was obviously the leader of the group, turned to Blake and exclaimed, "Nice try, cowboy." Before darting away, Gwen was so overcome with laughter that she fell down. But Blake put his hands up in despair. "That's it," he shouted out angrily. "There is a curse on the seashore. For the time being, I'm going to limit myself to rivers and lakes." They shook the sand out of their shoes, packed up their belongings, and promised that they would never go back to that place again. When they got back to their house, the story became their favorite party anecdote. Blake embellished the seagull's villainy, and Gwen swore that she would never trust waterproof mascara again. The story has been told to their friends so many times that they are able to recite it by heart, but it never fails to make them laugh. Carson Daly and Adam Levine are two examples of such friends. Today, whenever someone recommends that they spend the day at the beach, Blake and Gwen look at each other and gently decline the offer. Gwen asserts that she is allergic to sand, whereas Blake asserts that he would rather manage to mow a field in temperatures of 100 degrees than deal with another seagull. They have discovered a plethora of other ways to spend their time, such as writing songs, tending to their ranch in Oklahoma, or simply watching episodes of The Voice in a marathon session. People who don't mind a little disturbance, surfers and seagulls, are the ones who should be allowed to use the beach, according to their decision. Due to a perfect storm of avian theft, makeup blunders, and sandcastle sabotage, Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani opt not to go to the beach. This is the hilarious explanation for their decision. This is a story that demonstrates that even celebrities are not immune to the ridiculousness of a terrible day at the beach, and that sometimes the most memorable experiences are those that occur when everything goes wrong.